everyone. Thank you for coming here and getting cozy together. Today is a very special day because it's also the 13th years anniversary of the Syrian revolution, March 15th. So it's, I don't know if I really want to invite you to understand the honor you have to be with those women on this day and to have the space and access to this conversation. So thank you again for being here and coming. And it's an honor for me as a fellow Syrian woman to be with all of you here on this day. I wouldn't choose to be with anyone else, I think, on this day, except with my people who really were part of the Syrian revolution. So who is with us today? I'm going to start with Lubna Qanawati. She is the Deputy Director of Women Now, which is a Syrian women-led organization that has been working on Syrian women issues in Syria and Turkey for the last, how many years, Lubna? 12 years, mashallah. And then we have Rinwa Shumari, who is the program manager at Release Me, another Syrian women-led organization that's working with Syrian women in northwest of Syria and in northeast through other partners. And then we have Nishman Khalaf, who is the executive director and CEO of GAV, another Kurdish Syrian women-led organization that works with Kurdish women in northeast Syria. This discussion today is to honor the anniversary, the effort, and the resilience of the Syrian women and the communities in the aftermath of the earthquake that hit Syria and Turkey last year in February. And we had the chance to see in the screenings, to hear also from other remarkable Syrian women about their efforts in the earthquake. And so we have that information. We have these amazing three women to learn also from them. And I want to highlight the feminist analysis that WILPF has just published called Now It's Not the Time for You or Your Need, by that title, which is the feminist intersectional analysis into gender dynamic during the earthquake. I love the title because this is the thing we always hear. This is not the time. It's always not the time for any of our needs or anything has to do with women. And so please take a look at that as well. So between the three sources of information, we hope that this panel really leave you with a bit more nuances into understanding the situation in Syria and Turkey after the earthquake. And with that, I just want to say, I'm going to start with you, Lubna. And we have seen in the film all the different testimonies around the Syrian women-led efforts. It's remarkable, right? I mean, what we've seen in terms of self-initiative to organize the space you're at and inviting others. Also, we've seen the importance of psychological assistance and the trauma. Yeah, our communities have experienced war for the last 13 years, and then this natural disaster that also triggered a lot of trauma. So we've seen also that story. We've seen the importance also, they highlighted the importance of the culturally and locally led response, the importance of the nuances with the white helmets we've seen, and we've heard around from Dalal how culturally informed to save women from under the rubble as well. And so we have a lot of that I think was highlighted in the documentary that even myself as a Syrian, I learned from around recommendations. We can already extract recommendations from there. But also, Lubna, you were in Turkey at the time.
No.
You were not? But you have experienced firsthand. Yes, exactly. You have experienced firsthand the aftermath of the earthquake. And can you share with us from your work and from Women Now work the challenges that were faced during the earthquake?
Thank you, Sana. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I'm sorry, I know that the documentary is not an easy thing to watch. So I'm sorry. I want to say that Women Now for Development has 22 members in Gaziantep, one of the states that's been hit very badly in the earthquake, and 100 more families of those 22. And we have 79 members inside Syria, and with their family, they count more than 500. So usually when any escalation happen in northwest of Syria, Turkey team respond to this security matters or escalation. When the earthquake happened, that we found ourselves, we don't have any teams to respond to anything, because the team that we depend on to respond is on streets, and they need to be saved. So here we stepped up an EU team to take this action to secure the team. So the first hours was very difficult because we didn't know what to do. It's as you see, maybe from the pictures and from the videos, that it was a big chaos because it was really a devastating earthquake. The problem is that, this is what I want to highlight, northwest of Syria is an area exhausted really and destroyed by the long conflict. It has been under bomb and shelling from the Syrian regime for almost a decade. It has a very high population, almost 4 million people, because all the forest displacement happened from Syria. They gathered in Idlib region. So this is why also the impact of the earthquake was very, very high. Also because of this population, people start to build like it's illegal building. They don't build according to what should be. It's just blocks, and people just inhabited it. So when the earthquake happened, the destruction was major. Okay, I'm gonna move now to what this, but I want to give this context so you can understand a little bit what is the challenges that we face, because we are working in a non-state area. That's mean the only party that stepped for saving people is the Syrian Civil Defense. This is the only organization that stepped to help people in northwest Syria. We didn't get any help from UN or from other international party because Turkish government was so busy rescuing the people in Turkey, and they just not allow to open the border for any other foreign rescue teams. So we were at the first week, it was the most difficult week that we faced, because we were calling everyone that we need rescue team. We need machine that can help Syrian civil defense to rescue people. The problem is most of the people didn't die from the earthquake. They died because they didn't have chance to be rescued. And this is the most painful thing, because unfortunately the world let us down. Do you want me to stop here? Okay. Please let me. So we decide as the organization at the first week that we cannot be included in rescue operation because we don't have the staff or the capacity or the machines. We will focus to save our team, and then our team in Syria and Turkey will respond to the community. Because if they still paralyzed, then we cannot do things from Europe. We are not in capability to go and rescue people. So this is what we did. We secured the team for the first week, then the team start to respond to the community. What happened is that the scene was really very bad. Everything was in chaos. And what I want also to mention that Gaziantep is considered like the capital of Syrian civil society. So, and even the other civil society that exist in the south in Turkey, they exist in Hatay, Antakya, and Rihaniya, which is totally damaged. If we are talking about Antakya, there is no city called Antakya anymore. It's totally erased. It was very big damage what happened to it. So first week was very tough for the Syrian civil society to organize themselves. And as I told you, the rescue team was left alone. So people step up the people, the normal people, and as you see from the videos, there is a small initiative. Normal people, they step up to help civil defense and rescue and providing shelter. People just get solidarity to each other, and until the Syrian civil society figure out to organize, they start to respond in more efficient way. But this has cost us a lot of life until this week passed. This has cost us really a lot of life, and I still remember the day that the civil defense declared that there are no more rescue process, because it already passed almost 6 days or 7 days, so everyone under the rebel already died. And this is what's very painful for us, because we, at the other side, we are watching the AFAD from the Turkish side, that they are still trying to rescue people there, but we don't have this capacity, because as I said, we are just left alone. Let me stop here and maybe I can take it up. Thank you.
Shukran, yeah, of course. Yeah, I think you said something very important. The earthquake is a natural disaster, but the response is a human-made disaster. And the lack of it, it's a great transition to you, Nashman, around the politicization of the response, the disaster response to the earthquake, and the politicization of it. And your organization works in Northeast, and we were talking about wanting to do peer-to-peer and local-to-local support between Northeast and Northwest, but the politics of it and the bureaucracy of the entry points and all of it intervened and prevented this collaboration, this local-to-local collaboration. So can you please share a bit more about that?
Yeah. We cannot, unfortunately, talking about the humanitarian aid file without talking about political challenge. So, the political challenge was facing the humanitarian aid file in Syria for a long time, from 2014 till 2020, before the earthquake. We were talking about the cross-boarding program. As you know, maybe some people they don't have any information about what the Security Council resolution did from 2014 till 2020. We were having access of humanitarian access to the area out of the control of the regime by 4 borders: Bab el-Hawa, Bab el-Salame, Ramtha, and Yarubiye for northwest Syria. So we had 4 border for the area out of the regime control to 8 people there. And then by 2020, we lost 3 borders. We had just one acceptable, one just border open was Bab el-Hawa. So we lost Ramtha, Yarubiya for northeast, and Bab el-Salame. So one border for all northwest Syria. And then when earthquake happened, we have just Bab el-Hawa. So how can save people, more than 4 million people, to aid them? And we have northeast, and the earthquake happened for Iraq and northeast Syria also. We didn't lose people there, but we had people, IDPs, moved to Tel Asamin and to other camps from different parts. And as you know, in 2019, we have 3 parts of North Syria occupied by Turkey, and we have a lot of people in Hasaka also, as we see the cases in Idlib. So the aid that we had before the earthquake wasn't enough for people, and then the earthquake happened. There was all the demands for having more access, for humanitarian access, was delayed till we have acceptable for having 2 extra border, Rai and Bab el-Salame, for just 3 months. And how we can imagine the situation. We need the equipment and we need the humanitarian aid. And we have all the challenging for the people, Syrian IDPs, Syrian refugees inside Turkey and inside Syria without any aid. And then we have a border closed. We need acceptable from China and Russia. and this is just getting acceptable from the regime of Assad, who's killing people there. So like we cannot like imagine the humanitarian situation like just getting like best or better without like just seeing how the political party like controlling the decision of the humanitarian aid. And even more like the humanitarian aid that passed from Bab al-Hawa was like controlled by UN and then controlled by other Syrian organizations that are related to political party Muslim Brotherhood. So not all the people get benefit from the aid that we had in Northwest Syria. And I will just highlight more. There was like kind of solidarity from Northwest Syria as a group of organization and people, activists, to aid people in Northwest Syria, because we have like this kind of network between each other. How we can help people in Northwest Syria and their situation are worse than we have in Northeast Syria. And then we have like kind of communication, and then we have like couple of like let's say like wasn't enough hygienic kits and like food kits and non-food items, and then we start to gather information how we can access, because we have all the border closed between northeast, northwest, and between us and Turkey. And then the local councils like provide some information that we can start the communication and send the humanitarian aid to them. And then because like we have like kind of the conflict between the parties in northwest and northeast, they didn't accept it. They said because this is from the what Turkey call them terrorists, because they are Kurdish controlled. So then was the third let's say like attempt from people out of the local council or out of organization. They were from the people in Deir ez-Zor. They were trying just to give like what they can do out of the political announcement. So there was like one truck trying to reach the northwest, and was like just written that this is from the people from Deir ez-Zor to the people in northwest, and it was stopped also. They didn't accept to enter because this is coming from northwest Syria. So we are talking about like the challenging of the international decision because of the because of like the political situation there, and we have challenging between like Turkey and the refugees in Turkey, and between couple of party in northeast Syria. But at the end, people are suffering. None of these like political party they take care of the people. So I mean, the challenge was like more than a humanitarian crisis. It was like humanitarian, political, like impossible to think how we can try to do something. We're just trying to do. We just stayed in a position to just gather information and saying, yeah, we have like one survivor or not.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nishman. It's one thing. I think thank you for highlighting not only dealing with the border dynamic and the entry points that we talked about, but also the nuances of the internal local politics between the northeast and northwest, and the culture and social, unfortunately, issues also between the two areas, and how that affected the ability to respond to the earthquake. So I mean, clearly, you both highlighted how it's an undermining to say it's a natural disaster. It's really, again, it's a political humanitarian disaster as well, and we've both talked about the challenges. I want to move to you, Ghenwa, if you can share, and we've seen also in the documentaries the amazing efforts led by the women in the communities from Yamama and from Bushra and from Dalal, talking about the psychosocial support effort, talking about the rescue for the white helmets, women to women rescue efforts, talking about building the community in the masjid and facilitating aid. All just, it's a natural response that we do as as women in the community. And so, Ghilma, can you, from your work and your experience, can you tell us more about those also examples of response?
Thank you so much. I want to start saying that I feel the privilege to talk about these women, that they actually led the response during the earthquake. And I'm especially honored because I'm talking in this special days for many Syrians, the 13th anniversary of the Syrian revolution. But before that, allow me just to reflect a little bit about the politicization of the aid. There was a problem, of course, in the borders with Turkey, but there was also a problem with the other channel to get the aid through the Syrian regime, through Damascus. And here there was the problem. All the international community is waiting for the Syrian regime to allow the aid coming from all over the world and to serve those people. We stayed for more than 2 weeks, I think, 2 weeks, just waiting for the Syrian regime to declare that the Syrian regime is not able actually to do the response. That was like a huge, big deal. This regime was like for a long time, of course, does not care about the life of the people, but also allow natural disasters to kill them. And afterwards, the Syrian regime used the aid for its benefits, and there was afterwards the normalization and accepting many, let's say, aid coming from Iran and coming from other Arab countries that they just want to open their embassies in Syria. So using the aid, using the need of people in such a critical moment, that was for many Syrian, it's unbelievable. I just wanted to reflect on that because it was not only the border closed in Turkey, but the Syrian regime as well has also invested in this disaster for a long time. Going back to the stories of the woman, I still remember I called my partner, Freya Hijazi, and she's actually running a small-led woman organization with many partners on the ground. And she was overwhelmed. She said, Rina, I don't know what to do. No one is answering us. We did many campaigns. We tried with the Turkish. We tried to reach out many European missions. You were in one of them, of the meetings, but it seems that we need to do something on the ground. Let's talk to other partners, other women-led organizations on the ground. And here we try to collect our try to reach out many other organizations on the ground, and we were surprised that at least in the area that we tried to get the help for, at least there was 5 initiatives. There was coming out of nothing, women just organize themselves to help other women and to provide shelters for other families who lost their own houses. And not also that, but they start coming to us saying that, we start receiving the aid now, but many of them, who provide the aid are men. And women are really feeling this because of the situation, and because some conservative beliefs that it's not easy for them to ask for sanitary pads, for example, or to ask for more than what they want. And here we started to say that we need to actually try to fundraise for this issue and try to reach out to many people to say that we finally find a way to get the money inside Syria, because that's another problem, and we finally get a way that to reach out women initiatives and provide them with what they really want. But here, I still remember one of them because I was in constant communication with them. One of them, she told me after the earthquake ended that the earthquake reminded her when she was in the prison, and she promised herself if she will be alive for the next 2-3 months, she will do something remarkable. She will heal herself and heal other people as well. She formed afterwards a group of 10 women, and they went to the I still remember, to the camps, because there are other women in the camps. They suggested to help with their limited resources the other women who lost their houses and they are in the streets. And I still remember how actually they tried to do their best to survive, and at the same time to make a difference. For them, it was a healing journey. At least this is what I heard from them. They are remarkable women. They are resilient women, and like day by day, you see that. Of course, they have been through a lot. They were forcibly displaced at least 3 times, and then after the earthquake came. On top of all of that, so that to see this kind of like resilience, I think we wanted their stories to be like told to the all other women. So we find a way that we published a book about their own stories, 12 stories from women who actually lived this moment, and they did what they think is something remarkable, and they want to have the agency to talk about their narrative about what happened at that time.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rina. Yeah, I wish they didn't have to be that resilient. I think, we always celebrate resiliency, and I think for women from our region and for women who had to navigate patriarchy and conservative societies and then the oppressive regimes on all levels, of course, the organic natural response is always resiliency and figuring it out. But we have to acknowledge that we are here because of the international community failure of doing anything on Syria. And as you acknowledge as well, how, again, the international community, including the Arab countries, took an opportunity with the earthquake to normalize with the Assad regime, to open doors of diplomacy again, which, is like you put salt on the wound. After 12, 13 years, on top of that, you also use the opportunity of killing us and displacing us again to normalize with our murderer. So thank you for highlighting this, because this is very important. And again, as we celebrate the resiliency here, and I think beyond celebration, we should think about our efforts of how do we uplift it and how do we support it. And funding is major to that, funding women, local-led organizations. I want to come back to Orianto here. From you, Lubna, to start with you again. From this experience, inshallah, there won't be another earthquake, but what would be 1 or 2 lessons learned in the response that you would be like, we know how to do it differently next time? That maybe make it more gender-sensitive response, or just respond in a different timely manner? Curious about your lessons.
Let me talk first about the meaning of gender-sensitive response. Or because there's an international concept about it, it's really very bad.
Very white.
So, yeah.
Go for it.
So I don't think the way that's putting it on the table, it's a fair way. I prefer to talk about more intersectional or a feminist or approach than a gender-sensitive one, because gender-sensitive is not just about women, but we prefer to talk about women when we talk about gender, but it isn't like this. And analyzing also the power dynamic that exists in every step of the response is very important. So for me, changing the situation or the demands of women is something must be took into consideration. For example, before the earthquake, we keep fighting that women are facing a lot of challenging in camps. Women need to be settled down in sustainable places, to have access to good proper services, clean water, blah, 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 all this stuff. When the earthquake happened, the main demand that we got from women is tent. They don't want to stay at home because they were terrified for themselves and for their family. So this is highlight the changes in the needs of a woman. So in the normal context, we were asking for home and houses. Now we ask, all of them, this is what the top need that's coming. All of them, they need tents. They don't want to stay in blocks anymore. It was terrifying because after the earthquake, شو يعني هزات الارتدادية؟ Aftershocks. It's they measure the first day for the first or 3 days more than 50,000 aftershocks. So it was the land was really shocking. It wasn't settled down until 4 or 5 months. So people were terrifying all the time. So this kind of small details show you that it's not just about how you see gender sensitive approach. It's about how the people you are responding to feel it. So and understand it. So one of the major. So let me let you explain. For example, there's something called by UN agency and international donor dignity kits. I hate this very much. It's a woman kits usually have some hygiene items, some sanitary pad, some stuff. It's calculate more. Usually 26 stuff, most of them are not usable from the woman actually, because they ask for more sensitive issue. So what we are trying to do is to form something, we call it an emergency response kits for women, which we ask the woman, what do you need? And they say we need isolation material and tent, because the tent that they were moving to, it was without base. So they are putting on the mud. So they were in a very huge need of isolation material. So we tried to respond to this. This, for me, is something I call it intersectional. It's because it's respond to the need for not, there is no something called women. For each case that's face different challenges and different needs, because also we have elderly people, we have people with disability, we have family with no men, we have families that are with so many kids and children. So all this have been to be taken into consideration. What for me, and here I want to refer to the name of the report that's WILPF report. No, it's not the time.
It's not the time for you.
It's not the time for your needs. It's for me. This has not come for the first or 2 weeks. Actually, you cannot tell someone in a survival mode that it's not the time for your needs. It's not the time for any needs. The majority was saving lives. So actually, we look at this title after the situation start to settle down and they finish from saving lives. Here we can talk about the needs. Here you can start talking what the needs we are applying for. For me, the red line that we will need to be taken attention to is the violation or the abuses that may be committed during settling down people. And this was not about women. We face cases of complaints about harassment or sexual abuse, but also it was about splitting for family member, trafficking for children, because it's a lot of it of these abuses was not intended, because there were a chaos in the area. A lot of cases were rescued to Turkey. Kids, they don't know their family, or the family, for example, if it's 5 members, they've been rescued to 5 different locations. So a lot of organizations have to track so many potential abuses or potential violations that may happen. And I will remember you again that we are talking in an area without a state. This is very important. There is no state. The only organization were responding to the rescue was the Syrian Civil Defense. And you see Dalal, and she was mentioning that they were shouting out for help because they don't have enough capacity or machine to respond to this kind of crisis. I still remember Ra'ad Saleh talking about the first day that the Syrian Civil Defense member were were themselves under the rebel and their families. So they need to respond to the duties. So they put their families in the street, and they don't know what happened to them really. They just make sure that they are alive, and then they start going to voluntary centers to respond to the people. So it was a big chaos. Of course, there's a different impact on each level of the communities, each person of them. Women impact is in a different way because we, as I mentioned, we have an institutional violence and an institutional lack of services in the area. So this is, of course, when a crisis like an earthquake happen, a disaster, this is make their situation very bad. I don't know what to describe. There was a lack for everything, actually. Everything. For the first week, we were being asking for painkiller. This kind, very simple, because people were terrifying. They want to calm themselves with anything. So I don't know what to say. This is it's very overwhelming, but it was a very horrible experience, and I'm not on the ground, so you can imagine the people on the ground who had to bury their feelings and go to respond. And this is include women, men, children. You didn't see a lot of the photo, but people were desperate. They were digging with their bare hands. You cannot do anything with your bare hands, but they just want to feel that they are not letting their family member down. And this is, I'm talking about the Syrian side. The Turkish side has included a lot of violation because all the rescue for the Syrian refugee has delayed in purpose. It's not, because they consider it's not a priority to rescue Syrian. And before, in another panel, I was talking about the language barrier. A lot of Syrian were not able to shout out for help because they don't speak Turkish. So they were afraid if they shout out for help in Arabic, so they will not rescue them. So you can imagine that this layer of inequalities and discrimination, all this appear in the earthquake. So it was devastating, but this is need to be analysis. What we can do next, I don't know, because UN has failed to do anything to Syrian. And they don't, for example, my colleague mentioned, they don't need the regime permission, but they wait for it. So we died. This is exactly what happened. So for next time, I keep saying this, I don't know what we can hold more, because so far, civil defense is still asking for new equipment. We are asking for more fund. We are asking for reconstruction to all this infrastructure that's been destroyed, but nothing happened. So the only thing I hope for is praying Allah to not happen any disaster, because if this time happened, I don't have answer for this, wallah. I'm sorry.
Please don't apologize, because this is the reality and we don't need, sugarcoat it. But thank you for being true to it. And I think you mentioned, I fully agree, you mentioned a very important point, which is like feminist response is not women's rights and girls' response. Feminist response is intersectional, is about, fighting all these political barriers, xenophobia across class, gender, ability, etc. So thank you for highlighting that. Nishman?
I would highlight 2 points. One point, it was the crisis was like a time for leaders to invest. So it was like a time for Bashar Assad to invest in the human aid, to get all the human aid, to get more money than what he's doing now with the drug. And it was a time for the leader of Turkey also, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to get more humanitarian aid and to get controlled by the other platform that they are linked to him. It was time for him also to continue what he is doing, because I remember after the earthquake couple of days, we were in northeast Syria, we said, there is earthquake in Turkey also, so he will stop like attacking people in northeast Syria by drones. He continue attacking people in northeast Syria by drones during the earthquake. So it was like a time for investing in more conflict and more like just hurting people. What we are doing here now in CSW, we are trying to give like more supporting for a women rights organization, to give them like a kind of teeny tiny space to just try to change the mechanism what they are doing in UN. We cannot change the decision of like closing border or opening border. We're trying to do it. It has been like around like 10 years trying to open more border. We couldn't. But what we're trying to give like a link and communication between us as a women organization in the field, to communicate with the UN, not just giving them like more like opportunity to continue working with a political party. They are doing some work in the field, but they are linking with other organizations. They are linked to political sides. So we try to do, but I hope like to change like a teeny tiny thing in this field. And I guess like we have a voice. We're trying to do something. We have like this research. We have this feeling. We are trying to push more changing in mechanism. And I guess like CSW was like a good opportunity for us to communicate as a women organization working in different parts of Syria, northwest and northeast. And this is like kind of like a, I guess like a successful story. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Rina?
I don't know if is it working?
Yeah.
Well, I prepared at least like 12 concrete recommendation, but I don't want to talk about any one of them actually. I just yesterday attended a very important panel about what was happening in earthquake in the other side, in Turkish side, and I believe that there is sister over there. They gave a very impressive like presentation of what was happening there. And one of the things that we ended up talking about, that we need more collaboration between feminist movement. I understand, guys, that you are struggling as well on your side, but we were struggling, and I told you yesterday, we tried to reach out to you, but we don't know you. Maybe these events, we know more our partners, our people, that we can talk to them in the other side, and we can do something, campaigning, at least putting more pressure in the international community to take its responsibility to protect people, not waiting for dictatorship to allow them to get the aid to the people who are affected by an earthquake. That's one point. Or waiting for the Turkish government to open the borders to basic things for people who are in need. So I still believe in collaboration. I still believe that we can do something. And one of the things that give me a little bit of hope, what's happening now on the streets. We can see all the people coming all together to ask for ceasefire for what's happening in Palestine. I do believe in collaboration. I do believe that we can do the work, but let's do it together as a Syrian feminist organization all together, and also other feminist organizations all around the world. Other concrete recommendation, please look to WILPF feminist analysis, and you can find it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rina and Nishman. I want to highlight something that I believe preparedness. It's an essential thing. In 12 years, none of our international community have imagined that there will be a natural disaster that might happen in the area. We were not able to imagine this even in the practical way. So we really need flexible fund. We need emergency fund. We need this because when you are in a such disaster, you cannot wait to transfer fund to your bank account. It's not working because there is an earthquake. So we need this kind of flexible fund. We need to be not trained to trust us that we can lead this kind of effort if we have enough resource. So this is very essential. I think they are putting a lot of burden on feminist movement that we need to do everything by ourselves, but no, they have capacity and they have resource. They can just recruit it for us when we in need, and they can make less effort to ask us for vetting and I am. During the earthquake, will make you laugh. One of our funder, he said, "What you are going to do?" Really like this. We told him that we are preparing emergency kits for women. It cost us $110. He said, "Oof, we are preparing it with $22." Wallahi. So I said, really? Well, this is amazing what you are putting in it. So he sent me the list of the really, and I was okay. Enjoy it and distribute it by yourself.
Oh.
Really, and I didn't take money from them because they were very this kind of insensitive communication. It's really damaging. Yeah. So they need to train themselves also how to communicate with us when we are responding to crisis, because they don't treat us equally, and there's no respect in this partnership. So this is need to be this is a lesson to be learned, and this is also a lesson to be learned that no one can respond fastly or efficiently as people on the ground. So we need to trust them, and they need to tell us, when they tell us what to do, we need to do it. We try to do this with our sisters on the ground, the women-led groups and initiative, and even individuals. There's so many individuals did an amazing work. They initiate an initiative, and they collect donation and distribute aid and psychosocial support. Anyone one has capacity. I know people, activists, that they cook to people. They go to the street and they know that they can cook, so they cook to people. So we need to be like a backup for those people who responding to the ground without asking question like what you are going to do with the money, or is this the money go to the right people? So there's a lot of bad communication happened during the disaster. Need to be accountable. Actually, we need accountability. People need to have access to us, to hold us accountable, and also we need to hold our donors accountable. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, we're gonna move on to questions in a second, but you all mentioned very, very important things that I want to summarize and echo. And I think one of the important things that you mentioned is that those with the proximity to the problem know best the solution, and so donors, allies, advocates, step aside. You're really your role not to gatekeep. You're a bridge, and you're lucky to be. And you really, how exactly trust-based funding and trust-based and equitable partnerships and ways of working are important. And I think, as you mentioned, this is part of preparedness, like to work with our funders and those systems to educate them about, and that's a lot what I do, to educate them about trust-based philanthropy and how you really need to step aside is very important. And I think you mentioned also, Rinwa, the importance of collaboration in the communities. At the end of the day, those systems of oppression that oppress us are not going to liberate us. And so it's really us, the people on the ground. And Gaza is a very clear example. And Syria has been an example, unfortunately, for 12 years now. And also, as you mentioned, Nishman, the examples of a lot of good practices. And there are things to look up to and to learn from and to be inspired by. And so I really want to thank you for being real to the issue, for everything you do, and for also being the voice for the people on the ground who unfortunately can't be here for all reasons. We have like 10 minutes for Q&A. So we're going to start. We have Marcel and then we have yourself. But we're just going to start with the woman behind you. So.
I'm going to talk about a phenomenon that I witnessed this year about the earthquake. It's an annual reports period. Every feminist organization that failed us in the earthquake published a report of how incredible the response was. That was fascinating, because in Arabic we were complaining all the time about the sisterhood that we lacked in the earthquake. In the earthquake we faced that our sisters were exhausted by the Syrian pain. They didn't lobby enough for us to attend high-level official meetings, life-saving meetings. We wanted pressure on the UN. And that never happened. We didn't get the access to pressure the UN. And then a year passed, everyone is celebrating. So it's time sometimes to avoid the easy target. Sexism in the Syrian civil society, in the Syrian society, is becoming the easy target. Let's look at xenophobia. We couldn't travel to high level because we were Syrian refugees. And we weren't empowered. Let's talk about racism. Syrians died in Turkey on a racist agenda. So I'm worried we are not holding the collective intersectional feminists accountable enough. And that's because we have obvious evil, and that is as well creating a difference in translation. In Arabic, I rarely will meet a Syrian feminist who is happy about the international feminism reaction to the earthquake. But in English, there's huge. So with us, going out of the easy, adding always to a dignity kit that is designed with the mentality of anti-terrorism doesn't make it dignified. That's if we are still not giving the woman cash because we are worried she is a terrorist. So I wanted the speakers to just say one thing that we need from our partners. That is not money, that's beyond the fund. It's what do you ask our sisters in the collective movement to go and do.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcel.
We're going to take two questions and then we're going to respond. Yeah, here's the mic.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. My name's Robin Lloyd, and I'm with WILPF in Burlington, Vermont. I would just like to say the possible one good thing that could come out of this terrible disaster that has been shown in other countries, that after an earthquake, the uprising of against the government and the government not doing their task has turned over the government. And that I think that happened in Nicaragua is the instance that I recall. I have a few questions. One is just people from our community I wish I had seen a map of all the areas you were talking about. They went to Rojava. Rojava. Is it a Kurdish area? But it's on the border. But they, as I understand from some of the videos from that area, that they were very self-organized prior to the earthquake, and I don't know what's happened since. My other question is, what was the American troops? There are American troops in Syria. What were they doing? Were they helping out? And finally, what was actually WILPF's role in all of this, WILPF International and you and the others? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, maybe you can answer those questions. Okay, you can take
So, North Syria, we call it in Kurdish Rojava. So, Rojava became from the name of the Kurdistan before the 1923, the division of Kurdistan to four countries. It was between France and UK. So Rojava, this is the part of Kurdistan. We call it Rojava. We call it Rojava Kurdistani. So we keep the name. So when I say I'm going to Kamishli or to Hasaka, this is part of North Syria. I'm saying I'm going to Rojava. So it's not clear for a lot of people, even in Syria, because they see that this is kind of official division of Syria, because we don't have enough information of historical situation in part of Syria and Iraq and Iran and Turkey. So the part of Syria, Northeast Syria, it's now controlled by self-administration and supported by international coalition. So we have like all the force, American, Canadian, French, British, we have all those force in Northeast Syria. I have seen lots of even like international team going there, journalists, research, international organization working there. It started to support the area after what happened in Kobani, when start to defend the area against of ISIS, and then after the liberation of Raqqa and some of Deir ez-Zor. The area of Northeast Syria, it's not just Kurdish area, it's Kurdish, Arabic, Syriac, and Yazidi. We have like 4 main communities there. We have Kurdish non-Yazidi, we have Kurdish Yazidi, we have Syriac, we have Arab. So we have 4 main languages like speaking in the area: Syriac, Arabic, Kurdish, and Armeni also, because we have like Armenian community big in the area. We have kind of solidarity in the area. I hadn't spoken Arabic before getting 7 years old, and I have my neighbor also, they speak Syriac. It's kind of like a family of language of Arami also. But the part of Syria, they don't know the historical and the language in Northeast Syria, and it's different custom, it's different religious, it's different political views also. Because like we have like a Kurdish party, I have no idea how many Kurdish party we have now, because last update for me was 13. Now I don't know, because maybe there are 100 now. We have a Syriac political parties. We don't have any Arabic political party in Northeast Syria, because they are almost were like Basi before the crisis happened in Syria. Now we have lots of Arab in the area. They are joining the party called like Tevdem. This is like controlled by what Turkey, they say they are PKK. But this is like a kind of another party representing people in Northeast Syria. We had kind of projects to have like other party, they can represent Kurdish, Arabic, Syriac, Yazidi, and it was a party called New Syrian Party. The head of the party was Havrin Khalaf. It was like a future of Syria. The head of the party was a woman called Havrin Khalaf. She had killed in 2019 when Turkey occupied one part of the Northeast Syria. And her family has like a case in Geneva. They say that Turkey has killed Havrin. The killing of women led in Northeast Syria, it's kind of a message for all the women, Kurdish, Arabic, Syriac, Yazidi, that you are not going to go to any front line, because we have Turkey, we have Bashar Assad, we have ISIS. So we have like 3 parties. Don't forget Iran, because we have control by Iran in Deir ez-Zor, and we have lots of drug coming from there. So I hope I give you some information about what happened in Northeast. We have like area that we can implement and invest there, but now it stopped after occupation of the area and after stopping election in the Northeast Syria, because we were trying to do kind of like a attempt of democracy there, but because it's controlled by Kurdish, Turkey was saying that we are threatening to build another Kurdistan, a second lesson of Kurdistan. That's what happened in Kurdistan, Iraq. We don't need any another Kurdistan. I was like supporting by regime of Assad and Iran as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashma. I mean, Northeast is very marginalized, and it's even marginalized more, so thank you for articulating that. Can we respond, before we take more questions, can we respond
Sorry, Sana, just I forgot one point, and it's important. This is a voice.
Please go for it.
Yeah.
Please.
After occupation of Turkey in 2019, Turkey started to cut the water from the main source of water called Alok. This is in Ras Al Ain, Sarikani. And now people in Hasaka, they have IDPs from Ras Al Ain, Sarikani, Tal Abyad, Grecipi. So we are talking about more than 4 million in Hasaka. They don't have a water source. And agriculture stopped in the area. So we are talking about Amuda, Terbespiyet, Sarikani, Hasaka, Qamishli, Derik. They are depending on the source of the water of Alok. We have just one source of water. It's close to the border of Kurdistan, Iraq. This is just they have ability to do agriculture. The other part, they don't do any agriculture. So all the area depending on the food security on Raqqa after their liberation. And now Raqqa also, they don't have enough ability to continue agriculture. What happened in Tal Abyad, it's close to Raqqa, it's occupied by Turkey as well. We don't have enough seeds. We don't have enough fertilizing because some of the items they are forbidden after the crisis also. So we don't have any border. Yarubia is closed. We have a small border called Semanka. It cannot serve the people there. So we are talking about a crisis in North Syria, facing more IDPs and refugees to Iraq or to Turkey. This is impossible because people that they get killed before crossing the border, and I have a pain in my head because I attacked by the gendarme of Turkey in the border of North Syria in 2013. Thank you.
Thank you. Lubna, do you want to respond? Thank you. I want to say, Marcel, I do believe accountability for feminist organization and movement is essential, because also sometimes we are losing our compass because of all this international feeding into our head, and this is make us away from our context and from our people, and also we need to manage our expectation also from others. We had a high expectation from the feminist movement and the earthquake, and we saw that they didn't know what to do. They focused on something. It's very it's good, it's essential, but it's wrong timing. They advocate for sexually bad. It's very important, but we were under rebel and we were in a need for another thing. So this is the intersectionality and understanding of context that I was talking about. So yes, I believe we need to talk about this more and how to do it in a way that it's come with a benefit to us. I do believe that this sometimes we copy the same mechanism that exists in the patriarchal system, and we fall in it and we keep reducing it. So I agree with you.
Okay, thank you. I have actually, the first one is that shukran, first of all, for sharing an amazing hosting and for all the team. For me, what is surprising is that I attended a few events this week. This one another in Palestine, about Palestine, and another one about Ukraine, and how women are the first responders in the territories, and how what you were saying, about resilience being empowered, but also what that tells us, that in the positions of the decision makers, there are males predominantly, or white women, and that then the responses or the preparedness of the territories is a huge gap, and the needs is not. And I think that what I want to say from that is acknowledging the strength and the power, but also what's going on within that huge gap. And I think it also has to do not only with the need of an intersectional lens, but a decolonial lens. And maybe as a comment or as a question, I do believe in feminist, in solidarity and in transnational solidarity, feminist solidarity, but we need to be mindful that a decolonial lens, living in a colonial capitalistic world is much needed. And maybe For the Syrian case, what kind of message suggestions do you have if we think about feminist, decolonial feminism, for solidarity, but also for leading actions in the future to avoid the traditional structures that we keep reinforcing? And yeah.
Thank you for your question. Actually, it was the main theme for like 2 or 3 days. Like many panels were discussing the same issue. We see here that not only the Syrian feminism, but many feminism all around the world are struggling with the same issue. And I just can't talk about our experience, so I can't talk about others. But one of the things that we can stand in front of dictatorship, it's the same thing that we can do it to stand in front of imperialism and colonialism in general. For us, at least as Syrian feminists, I want here to at least get our position. We see that what's happening, at least in Gaza, does not actually. What's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Syria are the same. We are standing against dictatorship and imperialism and colonialism and apartheid in all our stands. But we need to reflect about this all together, not only the Syrian feminists sitting together and talking about it, and the Palestinian feminists talking about it, and I don't know, feminists from all around the world. So we need to meet and talk. Just yesterday I mentioned to you, there was many points that I didn't know about it in the Turkish side. But talking to those fabulous women, listening to them, we think that we can do something together. Okay, so again, it's solidarity. Again, it's campaigning. Again, it's relying on the grassroots women and getting what we want from them, not actually like putting more pressure on the women. Here I want to talk about accountability, about feminism. Yes, of course we need to do accountability. I know many feminist organizations, they refused actually to change, to take the fund they get it, to respond to the disaster. I know that because they don't want to make the donor angry. No, we barely get this amount of money. Let's stuck to the programs that we have. While other feminist organizations, they relocate the fund, they did what they do, and they try to think out of the box. So of course accountability here is a key as well. So solidarity, accountability, and always thinking about what we can do more and much better. Thank you.
I want to add, Sufyan, we need to analyze the roots also, because we are following the same system. I don't believe feminist movement, at least the scene I'm in contact with, have managed to create alternative system, not yet. So we are using the same system, which is corrupt. So for me, solidarity is not a holy book or a god, like you pray for feminism, so everything solved. It's not like this. For me, yes, because I wish, but it's not like this. So for me, I believe solidarity also become very efficient if you ask for what you need. It's easier for the others. For example, we have a very feminist partner, very good, they are really amazing. In the earthquake, they sent us a guidance for how to act while earthquake happened in the earthquake. So I sent her back, please don't do this. Please, Habibti, please, this is, I cannot do, my team is really threatening now. I can't educate them now, it's too late. So she understands and she said, okay, I'm really sorry, I felt I want to do anything and I feel helpless and I just need to. So we need also to be transparent with each other. Keep this communication open and tell each other that this is work and this is not work. Because the feminists on the other side of the world, they didn't know what's happening with me, and they cannot imagine even. So if I told them what I need, it will be easier. And if I told them also that this is not working, it will be easier. This maybe make us educate from each other experience. So we have a lot to do, and unfortunately, all the environment surrounding us, it's patriarchal, it's colonized, and you say there's a lot of challenging and inequalities. So to break this little by little, it's need a lot of effort. But yeah.
But we're doing it.
Yes, we are!
Honestly, this is like the most patriarchal communication skill. With you just should know my need without me speaking anything. And we take this from relationships, heterosexual relationships, to professional relationships. And so let's trust the local voices. Let's ask and communicate directly and transparently, and talk with people and culturally informed. And yeah, thank you so much for educating us and for sharing with us. There's nothing you can do anywhere.